Now on CoastTV News.
Back to the ocean.
It was the coolest thing I'm probably ever going to do.
2 endangered sea turtles saved and now re-released into the wild.
Heat wave hits.
It is keeping me cool. It's delicious. And I enjoy eating ice cream.
Finding ways to enjoy the beach on the hottest day of the year.
And from a dessert to something a whole lot more sour, watching out for severe storms pushing through the area as a result of that same heat being the fuel.
This is CoastTV News at 6.
Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with weather.
Let's go ahead and take a live look outside now into Milford. Okay, very different sky than we saw just an hour ago when we got on the air. Our first alert chief meteorologist Paul Williams joins us with a look at storms. And Paul, parts of Delaware have already seen pretty severe storms.
In fact, we've just had a severe thunderstorm warning that's just expired briefly for the northwest corner of Sussex County. And with this cell, it's moving so rapidly to the east at approximately 55 to 60 miles per hour. Now, here's the thing. This is turning into a very tricky little squall line that we're keeping a close eye on because it's still propagating the opportunity for strong storms to continue to play out in our immediate area. Now, what's happening right now, this is over towards the eastern area, okay? Bethlehem, Easton, Trapp area. This is along Highway 50, okay? This is Highway 50 right here from Longwoods Easton down towards Hamilton. Now that flashing is indicating that the storm is not dying, okay? That doesn't mean we have a problem with the computer. It's actually working perfectly as a result of showing us that this storm is still staying relatively intense. What I'm going to do right now as I begin to widen this, with each sweep it lets us know this storm is still very active in some areas. This is moving to the east at about 55 to 60 miles per hour. And this is the most intense cell here. So when we begin to track this right now, you'll notice some of the communities that are up for this storm to begin to impact them. For example, it's moving throughout Federalsburg and expected to move there at about 6:03. Then we're looking for it to move into the Seaford area by 6:12. Now, this is the most intense cell here that I'm keeping a close eye on, and that's the one that prompted the most recent severe thunderstorm warning. Now, overall, we have a severe thunderstorm watch that is active for our area until 9 o'clock. But we actually had a warning that was prompted by this squall line, and we say line, squall line, this line of storms with isolated cells of concern. And this is the cell I've been tracking that's been ebbing and flowing in its strength throughout the evening hours. We're looking for that same cell of concern, is what we're going to call it, to hit Seaford at about 6:12, then begin to march its way through Georgetown by 6:24, Long Neck, it'll begin to plow through that neighborhood at about 6:37, and then Ocean View. I am going to say right now that the storm looks like it's trending down as far as the intensity is concerned, but we are far from out of the woods with this storm. And the only reason I'm saying that is because when I take a more close view and a forensic view of what's happening with this storm, I want you to notice something as I go here to our analysis tool, that as we're tracking this, we're not seeing much in the way of the velocity causing concern, because you see all this green and blue. We're looking at green. All this green is indicating the winds. These are straight line winds. So fortunately, there's no red here, so we're not overly concerned about any kind of severe storms turning into tornadoes. We'll update you more throughout the newscast.
Thank you, Paul. And while stormy weather has our attention right now, it was the heat that was the main story throughout the day. But the sizzling sun didn't keep people from heading to the beach. In fact, that was the point. CoastTV News reporter Anna Sophia Rahman is live in Rehoboth. Anna Sophia, you can feel the heat out there.
Charlie, the heat on Rehoboth here, it's very intense. I spoke with tons of people earlier today. Some were local, others were just visiting, and all of them told me they're doing at least one thing to stay cool. This is something that's also keeping businesses very busy. One of them is Archie's on Rehoboth Avenue. They say this is the time of the year when they get the most customers, but on days like this, they get busier.
In the morning, it's always busy about lemonade because it's very hot. It's have to refresh. Lemonade help to refresh, and then after afternoon, it's like a good for ice cream because it's when they finish dinner.
If you're planning on spending some time outside like here on the boardwalk, make sure you find things to stay cool. Live from Rehoboth Beach, Anna Sophia Roman, Coast TV News.
Ice cream always helps with that. This brings us to our Coast TV poll. We do want to know what are your must-haves for beating the heat?
Let's take a look at the updated results from last news hour. 83% say air conditioning, 11% say cold drinks, 3% say wide hat, and 3% say sunscreen.
We do have a comment today. Stephen of Selbyville says, quote, "Staying in the house with my 2 French bulldogs, that's how I'm beating the heat." If you haven't voted yet, or if you want to leave a comment, go to coasttv.com or use the Coast TV mobile app. We will show you updated results on Coast TV News at 11.
Time for my favorite story of the day. Inches away from being back home, according to the National Aquarium, 2 of the most endangered sea turtles in the world made a full recovery and they were released back into the ocean. You see it here, and hundreds gathered to see Icky and Mothman one last time. Coast TV News reporter Kevin Zapay is live there in OC. Kevin, it was pretty rare.
Maddie, right behind me is where both of the sea creatures went right back into the ocean. And officials told Coast TV it's been well over 5 years since a public event like this happened in Ocean City. These 2 crates held Icky and Mothman, 2 endangered sea turtles who made their way back into the ocean. And while the turtles were shown off to all the bystanders getting ready to wave goodbye, Elise Maxwell, who drove 3 hours to be here, was especially excited because she was the person who took action and saved Mothman from dying.
We pulled him out of the water and I was like, he's not staying out here. So I walked him in and tried to bring his temperature up a little bit because it was, the 2nd week of December. And then one of my coworkers then called DNR, who then called the aquarium.
Caitlin Bovary, the rehabilitation manager at the National Aquarium, says both Icky and Mothman were hit by boats and says that injuries caused by humans are common.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the injuries that we see are human related. They could be entangled in fishing gear, hit by boats, ingest plastic or marine debris. So a lot of the injuries that we see are related to human activities.
After over 6 months, both turtles made a full recovery. Icky was the first to be released and immediately made their way right back into the ocean. But for Mothman, it was a different story. Mothman made sure to soak in the crowd before following Icky back home. And Maxwell couldn't be happier seeing the turtle she saved make a full recovery.
It was the coolest thing I'm probably ever going to do. It was really, really awesome. And it was a full circle moment for me.
Now that Icky and Mothman are back in the ocean, families who saw this special event will be sure to remember this moment for years to come. Now that these sea turtles are back in the ocean, they both have a second chance at life. I'm Kevin Zapay, live in Ocean City, Coast TV News.
That was adorable. New at 6, a contentious bill has passed another hurdle. Senate Bill 159 would clear the way for U.S. Wind to build an electric substation by the old Indian River Power Plant. The proposal would reverse Sussex County's denial of a permit for that project. A lawmaker tells us that it cleared the House Natural Resources and Energy Committee. It is set to move to the House for consideration. And moving to Lewis, a long-awaited plan to improve the Minos-Conaway intersection. That starts the big change in a new service road and a roundabout. The whole project involves Minos-Conaway Road, Nassau Road, and Old Mill Road. The goal is to improve safety and traffic. A shared-use path would also accommodate pedestrians and bicyclists.
A 22-year-old in critical condition after a shooting in Milford early this morning. According to police, officers responded to the 200 block of Valley Drive. That's the area here. They say the 22-year-old victim was shot multiple times, taken to a hospital for treatment. We're just getting started this evening.
In sporting news, the Thunder with a chance to win their first ever NBA title tonight. Indy's standing in the way. Our DSN crew breaks it down.
And right now we are tracking the storms that's expected to hit the Milford area by 6:19. Seaford at about 6:25. Ocean View at 6:55. And we're keeping a close eye on circulation that's happening along this squall line.
But first, equine therapy helping people on the peninsula. That's our Coastal Connections when we're back in just 60 seconds. Mental health, it's so important, right? But getting help can be really scary. Did you know, though, there's a place in Lincoln that is facilitating healing with some very unique helpers?
As a team, take a minute and pick which one of these guys you would like to work with today.
You're looking at equine-assisted psychotherapy at Compassionate Hearts in Lincoln. This team is working on its communication issues with this horse as a guide. The staff, both human and equine, work alongside a licensed therapist in each session.
It feels a little safer when we put the story onto the horses. We had a mom, we had a parenting program many years ago, and we had this very large horse, and she was kind of up near its head, and the tail kept swishing around. And if you don't know a horse's tail, man, they're sharp. But she kept smacking her. She said, "He keeps hitting me." And we're like, "And you're still standing there." Rather than saying, "Well, move out of the way, silly," we just said, "And you're still standing there." She gets this look on her face, and she says, "Oh my gosh. It's just like my teenager. He keeps pushing me and I keep taking it rather than changing." She recognized, if I make the shift, it's going to shift the dynamic.
It's a concept that Compassionate Hearts says is hard to describe, but undeniable once you experience it. Compassionate Hearts and its program for military families, Courageous Hearts, says many people turn to them because they're more comfortable here than in a traditional counselor's office.
So we kind of ask the client's perspective, and they work through their own stories just by watching the horses and what their perspective is, and then the mental health professional will ask them questions and bring it back to their lives.
Yes, there are many sessions out here in this pasture space, but there is also traditional indoor offices if clients are more comfortable. There's also therapy dogs, therapy donkeys, therapy horses. The whole mission of Courageous and Compassionate Hearts, they say, is to provide a vehicle for communication and healing, and these guys make it happen. A new space for a new type of healing. Compassionate Hearts offers free consultations, and they're actually hosting a fundraiser on June 28th. I'll be the MC. If you want to learn more about it, just head on over to our website, CoastTV.com.
Right now, we are tracking a few active storms and a very volatile squall line in the midst of a juiced up atmosphere, and just keeping you updated on what's happening throughout the afternoon and evening. Now in Milford right now, we're starting to see the cloud cover pull through, and that's indicative of the storm that's approaching the Milford area. Take note of the temperature and the dew point temperature. The temperature is 89, that's a lot of energy, but the dew point temperature is in the 70s, which means it can support a strong storm staying as strong as it is, or possibly even spinning and becoming even stronger. Here's the latest look at what's happening right now. In fact, I think this just popped while we were on the air for a moment. I'm going to break protocol for just a quick second to make sure that I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing. I am. That's what I thought. Okay, so this just literally fired off a few moments ago. So now we have a newly issued severe thunderstorm warnings, I suspected we would, for northern Sussex County. And this storm is moving to the east at about 45 miles per hour, so it's slowed down, but we have 60-mile-per-hour winds that are connected with this storm system. And with this new information that's just became available for us, I'm going to zoom in a little bit tighter and show you what's happening with this cell. First, we're going to freeze on where it is right now. It's affecting the folks in the Bridgeville community, okay? And I'm going to telestrate this for you very clearly, okay? So it's right along Highway 13, Bryans Park, Bridgeville, Greenwood area. This is the area of greatest concern right here. And when we begin to see a storm like this pop up with so much in the way of a juiced up atmosphere, we become increasingly concerned about what kind of aspect it has connected to it at this particular juncture. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change gears here, just like that, in mid-form, so we can get a better aspect. I want to begin to take a look at a more analytical view of what's happening with this storm system, okay? Now, I'm going to erase this out of the way and show you, okay, so here's what's happening. This is the cell right here that prompted the latest warning. You see that? It's just crossing, going towards the Bridgeville area. It's racing to the east at approximately 45 miles per hour. So as I freeze it on the last frame, that cell, as it makes its way towards the east at about 45 miles per hour, we're expecting for it to affect the folks that are in places like Bridgeville at 621, all right? Georgetown at about 636, Milton at about 6:42. This is the cell right here, and it's expected to march right along that line for Sussex as well as Kent. Then we're looking for it to hit Lewis right around 6:53 and then make its move throughout portions of Bottom Hills. Since it's so warm right now, I want to take a look at this from another aspect, and I'm going to zoom in tighter here and freeze it on the frame because I'm concerned about it possibly being a little more threatening than it initially indicates. So I'm doing more of a forensic view live here on the air for you so you can see what real threat are we looking at right here. So what you're looking at a three-dimensional view of the storm, and it's looking at, like, it's pushing up to, let's say, 30,000 feet. Just a few moments ago, it was just at about 20,000 feet when we were actually showing this and showing you the coverage we had on our app exclusively between the 6 and the 5 o'clock newscast. But now it's grown up to about 30,000, not and very shy of this $40,000 foot, threshold there. This is also the storm that's prompted me a concern for it to move out from the southwest, because as this begins to track its way to the south, we have this initial line that's sliding through and another line to the south. Note that we have this big area of pink as well. That's indicating we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the entire area until about 9 o'clock. So even after this pushes through, we're looking at the threat of this coming to a very quick end for us by the time we get into, let's say, the 9 o'clock hour. We will continue to monitor this for you throughout a good portion of the day. Now, finally, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. And so even with this being the case, we're expecting for things to shape up very nicely for us by the time we get to the first day of summer.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
The NBA Finals could be decided tonight in Indiana. Let's preview Game 6 in Indy. The Thunder lead the Pacers 3-2. Oklahoma City is searching for its first championship since moving the franchise from Seattle in 2008. The Thunder are coming off a 120-109 win over Indiana in Game 5. The Pacers are trying to force a Game 7 back in OKC. Tip-off is set for 8:30. And here on Delmarva, our exclusive docu-series on the Cape Henl Open football team continues. Tonight, Episode 9 of Into the Trenches airs on DSN. Let's take a sneak peek in the latest episode.
On the next Into the Trenches.
You know, Smyrna, 4 of the last 10 state titles have come through there. You've got to be able to beat Smyrna. You got to beat them late in the year. You got to beat them on the road. Their Wildcat package, again, it took us the first couple times of playing it.
You know, our goal is to host a playoff game. We're here for a reason to prove that, you know, we are amongst the best in the state.
Into the Trenches, a new voyage on the Delmarva Sports Network and DSN Plus, sponsored by Preston Automotive.
And remember, tomorrow, Berlin bathtub races begin on DSN at 6.
Just to update you on the changes, we have an active severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the most northern portions of Sussex County. The folks that are in Bridgeville are right now dealing with a wave of change that's happening rapidly, particularly along Highway 13 headed towards Owens and Ellendale. Now, this is a tracking of the entire track. It's going to begin to affect the folks in Milford by 6:40, Georgetown 6:48, Lewis by 7:10. And that also includes the folks that are over in Rehoboth Beach. Right now, we're seeing the storm. It's producing 60-mile-per-hour winds and the hail, about pea-sized to penny-sized hail thus far, as it's moving very quickly towards the east. The overall area is still under a severe thunderstorm watch until 9 o'clock. This warning will stay in effect until 7 o'clock, and we'll continue to scroll information on the bottom of your screen. We won't interrupt programming unless it's a tornado warning. Finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast.
Thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 6.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
The NBC Nightly News is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 11. Have a great evening.